to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. Well, it's an absolutely fantastic, beautiful autumn day here. If you know what autumn is, it's fall for those of our US friends. And it's just an absolutely perfect day here in paradise. It's one of our very, very special days of the year here. It's known as our Anzac Day, and it's the day that we remember those soldiers that have fought for our country in the alliance of Australia and New Zealand. So many people have been to the dawn service this morning. There's still many services going on around the country as we remember those that made this country of ours great. And I'd like to just acknowledge that and ask everybody to sort of take a split second to remember, no matter where you are in the world, for everybody that's fought for our freedom, we really should honour and respect that every day, not just on these special anniversaries. So let's move the show along. I know that there's been lots of tragedies around the world, and this week I'd like to just say, let's just silently say a prayer for everything that's gone wrong this week, and let's move on and try and find some positive energy to focus on in the next 7 days. So this brings me to the card of the week. We work with a Simply Tarot card of the week each week, and I draw the card only an hour or so before the show because I like to get into the energy of what we can all maybe expect on a global sense over the next 7 days. It's a little message that we can all take away, use as an affirmation, put in the back of our memory bank and say, yes, Amanda was right, or maybe she wasn't right on this occasion and I missed a bullet, and that's great. So this week it's the Two of Pentacles. Now, I don't think we've ever had this one on the show before. The Two of Pentacles is money confusion. Now, money confusion doesn't always mean a lack of money. It just means maybe you're trying to balance your checkbook. Juggling of two situations or ideas around. Quite often I find it's the secondary meaning of this card where we're juggling things, we're sorting things out, we've got ideas coming to-ing and fro-ing and sort of needing to sort of throw them up in the air and look at where they land. Look at what the balance may be out of the whole situation. So in the next 7 days, you will probably find that there will be possibly some money juggling too, but you'll also probably find that you're going to be juggling your emotions, particularly as we head into the full moon in Scorpio. So that takes me to the next part of the show. The full moon in Scorpio will happen on the 30th of April or April 30. Depending on which part of the world you're in. The full moon's energy will last approximately 2.5 days. For those of you that regularly watch the show, you will know that I like to look at 2 days before the actual date, the duration of 2.5 to 3 days, and then another 2 days on the descending. So I would be looking at from the 28th through to well and truly, we're looking to the 5th of May before that full moon energy is really starting to leave us completely. So the full moon in Scorpio is fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, the most powerful, intense of the full moons, in my personal opinion, for the year. It outweighs the full moon in Cancer, which is when the moon is back in its own energy, because the Cancerian energy is a little bit more direct, is a little bit more upfront, where the Scorpio energy is hidden. It's what's beneath the surface. It's what's underneath the covers. It's what we've got to delve very deep into our soul and into our psyche and ask ourselves, what is it that we need to let go of? What is it we've been harbouring, hanging on to, holding on to, festering over? Is it time now to bring it to the surface and release it? Is it time to give it a little bit more light, a little bit more airplay? Is it time to maybe finalise and resolve these issues? Is it time now that we've got to sort of start adding some more layers to it? A full moon is not always negative. What a full moon's role is to bring things out of the darkness into the light and to be released, to be set free. It's a sign of completion. It's a sign of we've worked through the issue or situations emotionally, physically, mentally, and every other way that you can think of, and we're now ready to set it free. So this is why it's such a liberating time of the month when we come to the full moon, because it's, it may be things we've been working on for years, it may be something we've been working on for months or even only days, but we have this opportunity to set it free and see it sail high in the sky and see where it takes us. So that brings us to our candles of the week this week that we'll be working with. So obviously we're going to be working with the full moon candle. As I said, this is just a quick overview. I like to light my candles between 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. I would work on that 7-day process that I spoke about. Now, with the full moon, you may have something that you want to immediately let go of. You may have something that's a work in progress, and you may have something that's a long-term project. Write them all out on your piece of paper. Please write 2 identical pieces of paper. Read it out loud as you're going to light your candle every day. It doesn't have to be at the same time every day. Minimum of 15 minutes, I think, is adequate. Maximum up to about 2 hours. Reason why I'm saying 2, because you're going to pop it under your water sign candle we're going to talk about in a minute. Then, set the intentions of what you want to set free. It's a good idea to always be in the same room as your candles. Never, please, put them under a curtain, under an air conditioner, under a fan. Please keep them away from children and pets. And always make sure that when you go to light your candle, you place it on another surface before you put it in contact with the furniture. That's most important. The glass container that the candles are in gets hot, not the soy wax itself. So then I would be working with my water sign candle, or the one that represents Scorpio energy as well. Again, the same principle. I would be lighting it from 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. I like to do this when I'm working, and I tend to do mine when I'm sitting at my computer working, so I can keep an eye on it. It's entirely up to you how you like to work with it, but obviously the more you work with your candles, the better the energy will be. For those of you that don't have my candles, please don't stress. Any household grade candle, any favourite candle you've got will do the same job. It's just these are more powerful because they've been infused with essential oils, and particular intent and energy has gone into the production of them. So that leads us on to our travel pack, as we talk about each week, that this is a little gift pack or a travel pack that you can set up for yourself. You can choose your 3 candles to go in it. This week I featured a full moon candle either side and the water sign candle in the middle, but you could pick up a pack and say make it a new moon, a full moon, and your star sign, or maybe you might want to change it to love or clearing or forgiveness or soulmates. It's entirely your choice. So they're just a mini candle that you can put on your work desk. You can take them travelling with you. Again, glass containers. Be aware, make sure we put something underneath them. So it's been a very, very busy week in the universe in the last week, let me assure you it has. And I've had so many people inboxing me and saying, Amanda, why is it I'm feeling so restless? I'm feeling agitated. Some days I'm feeling angry. Some days I'm feeling I don't know where I'm going and what I'm doing. And it's like, I thought everything was going to settle down. I had a little reprieve, and now all of a sudden everything feels like it's spinning out of control again. Well, there's a number of reasons for this. The energy has just shifted from Aries into Taurus. So usually when we find a shift of energy like that, we find that derails us a little bit for a day or two. But as we become more open and more receptive to what's going on in the world around us, i.e. opening up your psychic ability, or / becoming more spiritual or more empathic, or whatever label you want to put on it. It's just, to me, becoming more aware of your surroundings. Yes, we can put those other labels on it, and yes, they're appropriate, but let's not get bogged down in labels and names, and let's just work with the energy. I like to work with it as just being pure raw energy, and we're tapping into it in a much deeper way. So that's part of the reason. But when I had a little look at what's happening planetary-wise, it jumped out to me, this is what's really affecting most people. Now, we've got Mars, the planet of action. Mars is the planet that it's a bit like a boy planet. He goes, rah, 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 this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and we're going to fight for that, and we're going to be everything that you want it to be and more. And it's like when Mars is jumping around the place and waving his big fist and saying, I'm the boss and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And that's all well and fine. We all need Mars in our chart, and we all need some sort of Mars energy, I suppose, to get us motivated and out of bed of a morning and to do something with our lives. But when he's said to be conjunct or holding hands with the planet Pluto, and we've talked about Pluto many times here on the show. Pluto's the planet of transformation. Pluto's the planet that's slow, deliberate, definite. Any lesson learnt by Pluto is one that's not lost. It's not forgotten. But Pluto moves so very, very slow around the universe. He's been in Capricorn now for a very, very, very long time, probably over 10 years now, or close to 10 years. So his role has been slowly, deliberately, definitely redefining, reorganising, rechanging how we structure the world, not just our personal world, but how the world as a collective is being restructured. So if you look at what's going on politically around the world at the moment, with people threatening to go to war, and somebody likes Trump and somebody doesn't, somebody likes your prime minister and somebody doesn't, and it doesn't matter which country in the world that I look at, everybody's in some sort of turmoil or crisis. So this is because Mars is holding hands with Pluto. So Mars is waving the big stick saying, come on, we've got to get everything sorted out. We've got to get the political arena right. The masses are getting grumpy about things. You know, there's not enough workers' rights. There's not enough healthcare. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. In the mix of all this, let's save the planet as well. So we've got people pushing and poking and prodding for number one spot, jockeying for number one position all the time. So why would it then not affect us as the little person in the street? It does. So it comes right down from the top of government, right down to the smallest, most inconspicuous person in the street. He's feeling the momentum of this energy. Then we add to the mix of this, and I want to sort of take you a little bit more technical again now. So we've got Mars and Pluto holding hands, as I said. But then if we were to sort of say, having a little skipping rope to the side over here, joining on the end of the skipping rope is the planet Jupiter. Now, the planet Jupiter is the planet of opportunity, expansion, good luck, even expanding waistlines, but it's a planet of gives us hope. It gives us hope that there's change in the air, that things are getting more positive, that maybe there'll be more money, we'll have less famine, we'll have less arguments and all those sort of things. But Jupiter's sitting in the very intense sign of Scorpio, which is where the full moon's going to be this weekend. So it's going to be a very intense time with everything that I've talked about. Yes, we'll have some breakthrough moments. Yes, we'll have some periods of clarity, but the clarity might come out of the full moon, is what I'm thinking, with Jupiter and the full moon sitting very close together, then sort of go along the skipping rope to where Mars and Pluto are. Maybe this is going to be the catalyst for some change, or the setting down of doors to fly open for us to work on these things, not just in that 24 hours, 48-hour period, but over the next few months or the next 12 months, the winds of change are starting to open up. So I'm actually feeling quite excited about what's actually happening in the universe at the moment. So we're going to wrap up now with our little mini astrology lesson before we take our two callers for the week. And we're at the third part of the houses in astrology. Now, the houses of astrology are divided into 30-degree sections, and we have 12 houses in a chart, and we're up to houses 7, 8 and 9. So now we're moving into the houses we share with other people. The first 6 houses were the I planets, or the I houses. Now we go into the your planets, what we share with another person. So house number 7 is about partnerships. It's about what I share with you. It's relationships, it's enemies, it's about one-to-one relationships. It's about wanting to get to know another person. It's wanting to bring someone else into my energy. That's what the 7th house represents. The 8th house represents joint finances. So it's about the money that we share, whether that's I'm in partnership with my love interest, my partner, my husband, my wife, whether I'm in a partnership with the bank with my mortgage to my house, whether I'm in partnership with a lending institution for a loan for a car, whether I'm in partnership with my credit card company. Whatever money we share with other people is represented by the 8th house. It can also be the house that governs death taxes and money that we owe to other people, again, in that joint sense. So the 9th house is one of my favourite houses, and I suppose because I'm a Sagittarian it'd have to be, because it's the house that rules Saggy, but it's the house of long distance travel. It's like higher mind stuff, religion, higher consciousness. It's where we get our really higher forms of education. You know, our universities, our colleges and things like this come under the 9th house. But I also believe it's the house very much of spiritual and psychic development. I know a lot of other astrologers don't agree with me. They look at it more as being an 8th house or a 12th house situation. I look at it as being a 9th house situation, because I feel if we don't open the mind up to new possibilities, then how can we encompass spirituality or psychic ability if we haven't opened the mind up first? So I think sometimes there's no hard and fast rules. Yes, there's guidelines to what we teach and what we understand as astrology, but I think then you have the right to share and enlighten people with your own findings as having worked in this type of industry for a long time. And I have worked with astrology consciously for over 30 years. So, I'm not by no means an expert on the subject, but I do have a lot of valid opinions based on a lot of work over a long period of time and seeing patterns emerge over and over and over again. And I do say regularly on the show, I'm very fortunate. I've been in the psychic industry over 40 years here in Australia. I have won numerous awards for my work and my dedication, but mainly more for my teaching, my ability and my willingness to want to share the knowledge with as many people who will listen. And I believe that's been my role in this type of work, is to share the wisdom that has been given to me through my past lives. It's not what I've amassed in this lifetime, I'm sure. But if I can just help one person gain one little thing out of each one of these shows each week, then my job is done. So, okay, we're going to move on and we're going to take our first caller. And it's Linda in, I better put my glasses on, Waconia, Minnesota, USA. Are you there, Linda? How can I help you, sweetie?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a question for me, Linda?
Yeah, actually, I got a couple if I could. The first one is on my health. Do you see anything on my health?
Technically, Linda, we're not supposed to discuss health issues, and that governs all laws around the countries, all the separate countries, including the US and including Australia. What I can do is I can give you the indications of what they're giving me. We don't have the right to turn around and say, look, you've got arthritis or you've got a toe ache, because that's contravening those health regulations and those laws that govern this industry. What I can say to you is, what they're showing me is whatever you changed this year in your approach to your health issues, keep it up. Even though you haven't seen tremendous results yet, the results are coming through. They're slower than what you expected and what you hoped for, but you are getting results, and you will get more progress and more improvement as the year goes by. So if you change some sort of medication or some sort of way you've approached it, or changed a combination of things, I don't want you to change that now. I want you to keep persevering with it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so that's what they were sort of showing me. It's almost like, you've gone on to more complementary therapies and they don't work instantaneously. They take 3 months to kick in, and then they take another 3 months before we really start to see it ramp up. That was sort of how they were showing it to me. It was a slow burn. It was a slow ramping up of you getting improvement. I feel by about August, you'll really sort of look back and say, wow, when did that happen? I'm really starting to feel well again. And I can say to you that your memory is coming back too. Was that a concern?
My what is coming back?
Your memory. Was that a concern? Were you having trouble being able to recall or store things in your memory?
Yeah, once in a while, remembering things.
Yeah, no, this to me is sort of like what I was being shown in August. It's sort of it's like somebody's flipped on a light switch, and all of a sudden all these things were flooding back to you, and you're thinking, gee, I hadn't thought of that in years. And it was sort of like this great flood of memories and things all sort of becoming very clear, as if everything was coming into focus again. And that was something you hadn't realised how out of focus you'd felt for a while, for a long time. And to have this focus come back again, it was like, wow, I'm really excited about this. So, look, I think you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing. So what's your other question?
I've had 4 family members pass within a matter of like 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any messages from any of them, my mom or my brother?
Okay, Linda. It's because we've got such a short time frame, I don't guarantee that we can get through. What I like to do in this instance is if you give me a question you want me to work with, if Mum or whoever else wants to interrupt, they will. And that's the way that I like to take it with this. So do you have another direct question I can answer, and hopefully Mum will chip in?
Well, yeah, I do have a question. My great-granddaughter is waking up in the middle of the night, and she's saying, leave me alone, get away. Well, my granddaughter had her in the bathtub the other night, and she pointed to the ceiling and said, there's a man up there. And Amanda goes, where? And she says, up there on the ceiling. And she says, does he have a name? And she goes, Uncle, and this happened, a couple months ago. She was doing the same thing. And then we asked it to go away because I thought it was my one brother, playing with her.
Yes,
And,
I agree with that.
And then it did. It went away for a while, but now whoever has come back again, or somebody's come back.
So how old is your great-granddaughter, please?
She's 2.5.
Right, okay. That explains a lot. Because little babies, and she's still a baby, I usually say between 4 and 7 is when they're the most psychic. Some children that are very old souls like your great-granddaughter is, it can go back to as early as being 1. So, yes, it will be somebody that's passed over, possibly, as you said, an uncle or a grandfather or something like that. They're there not to frighten her, but, at that age, she can't understand this. I mean, she doesn't differentiate really between seeing you in the flesh and seeing them. You're all the same in her little eyes. So I think the best thing you can do is not alarm her. When she says that this sort of happens, just say to her, well, okay, we're going to play a game now with, let's use Uncle. We're going to play a game with Uncle. We're going to tell Uncle now it's really late and, he's got to be a good boy and go home and we'll play tomorrow, in the daytime.
Okay, yeah.
And keep it simple like that so that there's nothing alarming, nothing out of the ordinary. Give her a teddy or a doll or whatever's the usual practice if she wakes up in the middle of the night or if she's in the bath, give her a favourite toy, whatever's normal. Keep it as normal as possible because if we start to alarm her at this stage, she's not going to tell you that they're there. And that's the worst thing that can happen. It's better if both, you and your granddaughter know when these things are happening and keep it very logical, simple, easy. And let's ask Uncle to go away together. Let's tell him to come back tomorrow when it's daytime, when we're having apples at morning tea time. Something like that so that then if he comes to visit, then that's the time he's allowed to. He probably just wants to get your attention, you and your granddaughter's attention more so than the baby. But this is the way he knows he's guaranteed to get your attention. So I would be more inclined, do that what I've suggested, but I would also be inclined to try and have a conversation with him if you can establish who you may think it is. And even if you can't narrow it down and say you've got 3 potential uncles, have 3 separate conversations with each one of them before you go to sleep and make it very clear that I don't want you to continue contacting my great-granddaughter. She's too little to understand. If you've got a direct message, put it in my mind first thing in the morning. That what you want. You're giving them boundaries of saying, this is when you can contact me. I will take notice of whatever's the first thought that's in my mind in the morning. I'll know it's from you. I'll write it down and then I'll process it. I'll deal with it. But please don't keep coming and not so much distressing her, but, she doesn't understand. 2.5 is way too young to understand all that's going on.
Right.
And we don't want her to get frightened of getting in the bathtub and we don't want her to get frightened to go to sleep or, because one comes and then they all come. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you open the door to one and it's like everybody walks in then because she's too little to teach about protection at 2.5. I mean, how can we teach a 2.5-year-old to protect herself?
Yeah, the first time it happened, I sent pictures of my 3 brothers, and then she showed them to my great-granddaughter, and when she seen the one who I thought it was, she just cried and hit her head on the floor, put her head down and hit her eyes, and no, she said. And then the other 2, she didn't. She just kind of looked at them and walked away. So I figured it was my brother Brian, and she said she put her hands up like, claws. And I said, oh, he's trying to tickle her. But he was doing it in, the middle of the night, and this happened, I think it was Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday again at 3:30 in the morning. And so
the reasons why it's 3:30 in the morning, they love to come between 2 and 4 because they know they'll get your undivided attention. Yeah. Number 2, was he when he was here on Earth the very playful sort of uncle that would have tickled her, that would have been a bit of a practical joker?
Yeah.
Well, then that's definitely him then. I would also have a conversation with Mum. and say to Mum, hey, hang on a minute, Mum, get your 3 boys and get them in line. You know what I mean? Like, this has got to stop. You know,
Yeah.
you've got a big stick up there. You can keep the boys in control.
Okay, I'll do that. I did have a talk with him when it happened the first time, and then he went away. And then the second time, now I had a talk with all 3 of them, too. And I just said, just leave her alone.
Yeah, I think you need to have, you need to bring them all in. I mean, look, it's great that they want to make contact, but, they can make contact direct with you. They don't need to go through your great-granddaughter or your granddaughter. And, particularly you don't need to go to the baby because, this is not, it's not that it's a bad thing. It isn't. But it's just, she's so impressionable at that age. I want her time to be a baby. She you can handle it. You can understand it and rationalise it. She can't.
Yeah.
It's good that they're keeping an eye on her, but they don't have to come and tickle her and make their presence known, and don't have to be in the bathroom either. That's not a normal place for someone to come through. We usually say that they don't invade your private spaces like that, the bathroom, the bedroom, and things like that.
Yeah, that was the first time that she said that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? That's not normal. So
Right.
I would be encouraging that. It's bad enough they're waking her up at 3:30 in the morning, but we need to now set some boundaries. I think they're just trying to let you know that they're A-OK, everything's great, and that Mum's there and everything's good. But the thing is, they need to now leave your granddaughter alone. Anyway, that's where we've got to leave it, Linda. We're coming to the end of the show. I wish you well with that. So for those of you that watch the show regularly and may want to purchase some candles, you can head to my website, amandahallpsychic.com.au. Here in Australia, we offer free postage, but for our overseas friends, can I say we offer combined postage of a fixed price. So save your pennies up for what you might want to order and order it all in one go. And when you're at the checkout, don't forget to type in the word in capital letters, radio, and you will get a discount there for being loyal to the show. On next week's show, we'll have our usual Simply Tarot card of the week, our candle of the week, our glimpse around the universe, and our final part in our house series in astrology. So I hope you can join us again next week. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you here today. For those of you that want to continue on with what I'm doing, I'll be jumping over to Facebook Live at the end of this show for my weekly mini workshop series. This week it will be the full moon in Scorpio. So I hope you can join us there in a few minutes over on Facebook Live at Amanda Hall. But I've really enjoyed bringing you the show this week. Be happy, be kind to each other, and don't forget, most of all, let's hold someone special and dear in our hearts until we all meet again in 7 days. It's been my absolute pleasure to work with you here from the Gold Coast, here in Australia. Amanda Hall Psychic, bye for now.